So hey everybody, it's Simon here. Welcome back to another one of my versus battles. It's been a minute since I talked about versus battles, but getting more into Street Fighter 5, the other lore Street Fighter, and learning about different characters and our kids' ideas, power scaling and all that. I want to make a versus battle video. As you see by the title, this is the great fighter, Ryu, the Street Fighter, the Ultimate Warrior, versus the Dragon, Shang-Chi, or Shang-Chi, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, from Marvel Comics. I'm going to go ahead and have the boy history behind the warrior discuss a little bit of Ryu. I know about Ryu, but I feel like how he explains it is more profound, understand it doesn't matter for his character. At the same time, I'm going to talk about Ryu's capabilities and power because I know his feats, in case it matter for his history. I'll just put it out there. It'll be short and easy and give you a little just and all that, and at the same time plus a little bit of the history and in case it matter for feats and scaling and understanding, plus a matter for Shang-Chi and Ryu's capabilities in comparison. Hope you guys will enjoy. Let's go and get it in.
I ain't slept in a while, man. It's like my dreams run, man. Spending all night trying to chase them down. Don't worry about it, man. I'ma make my mama proud. I came up from not having nothing. I'm just trying to buy my mama a house. Don't worry about it, man. Told you I'ma hold it down. I just wanna see you smile back when every day we are stressed out. Don't worry about it, man. Long nights tapped out. Everybody waiting on me to win. I just gotta make it count. Don't worry about it, man. Took a win, took a loss. That just made me a boss. Times I feel like I'm a fraud. Don't worry about it, man. Bounce back into time.
As a very young child, Ryu was orphaned and left with no memory of his previous family. Whether or not they still exist is unknown to him. The young Ryu would be found by a man named Goken, who would adopt Ryu and take him to a secluded dojo and teach him in the ways of his martial arts. Through Goken's teachings, Ryu became a silent and very humble young man. Shortly after Ryu's arrival at the dojo, Goken would be approached by a very close friend of his. His friend's request was to teach his son, Ken Masters, as he didn't want the boy to grow up and become a spoiled brat and live off the family fortune. Goken was rather hesitant at first, but accepted Ken into his dojo. This had benefited Ken and Ryu, as Ryu did not have a friend around his age, and Ken was not yet disciplined. When Ken and Ryu initially met, they did not get along well, but over time and training with each other, the two became like brothers, with Ryu also seeing Goken as his father. Goken would train the two boys up to the age of 23 years old. Goken then believed that Ryu was ready to travel the world in order to test and hone his martial arts skills against the best fighters in the world. With his adoptive father's blessing, Ryu would leave the dojo and head towards the first World Warrior tournament. When Ryu participated in the World Warrior tournament, he defeated all challengers, and this earned him the right to fight its host, Sagat. During the battle, Ryu was knocked into unconsciousness by the host. Thinking that he has won, Sagat drops his guard and tries to help Ryu up. As Ryu was getting to his feet, he would unknowingly tap into the Satsue no Hado, the darker side of his martial art that depends on bloodlust, and he would strike Sagat with a dangerous Metsu Shoryuken, knocking out the host. Due to the power that was created from the Satsue no Hado, he would scar Sagat across the chest, with Sagat now swearing vengeance against Ryu. After Sagat's defeat, Ryu would return home to the dojo to ask Goken about what had happened and the power he had tapped into. When Ryu returned to the dojo, he found Goken dead. Ryu was able to track down his killer, the killer being a man named Akuma, who was actually Goken's brother. Ryu would eventually track down this man on his own secluded island and battle him. Ryu was able to defeat Akuma, but we learned that Akuma was testing him the whole time, and sensing that Ryu has the same power that he does. Akuma then proceeds to tell the truth about the martial art he learned as a child, and that it derived from another martial art known as Satsue no Hado, a power that consumes the practitioner of a certain fighting style, driving them to win even with the intention of killing the opponent. Ryu is initially shocked, but before he can ask more questions, Akuma uses one punch to smash the entire island. Sometime after escaping the island, Ryu would have a friendly sparring match with Ken, and lose. Ken would realize that Ryu is not himself, and he's been different since his victory over Sagat. Ken would give Ryu his signature red hairband, as a reminder to stay focused, with Ryu thanking his brother. Not long after this, a very young fan named Sakura would come up to him and express her desire to train under him. Ryu would reply that he's still learning much about himself and his martial art, but allows Sakura to take a picture of him for now. Sometime later, Ryu is found by Sagat, who is out for a grudge match. Ryu protests that Sagat has not yet fully recovered from his injuries, but Sagat persists. Sagat is able to defeat Ryu, but it's only later that upon reflection, he realizes that Ryu held back the entire fight and wishes to fight Ryu once more. 2 years later, Ryu continues to be troubled by what Akuma has told him, compounded by his encounter with Rose, who tells him about Shadow Lu and their leader, and Bison. Rose tells Ryu that he cannot fight Bison unless he is willing to put his body and his soul on the line. Much to what was expected, when Ryu confronts Bison, he is defeated, despite putting up a valiant battle. Bison then takes the semi-conscious Ryu and begins brainwashing him, believing that the Satsue no Hado is secretly the akin to Bison's own psycho power. Bison's brainwashing is interrupted when they are confronted by Sagat, Ken, and Sakura. A fight breaks out, with Ken and Sakura distracting Bison, allowing Sagat to have the time he needs to fight the brainwashed Ryu. Sagat would urge Ryu to remember who he was and where he came from. Because of the memories, Ryu is able to break the hold that Bison has on him. Ryu then confronts the Shadow Lu leader and defeats Bison, temporarily destroying him. Ryu would also participate in the Second World Warrior Tournament, entering to test his skills and defeating many of his opponents. During the tournament, he encourages Ken to participate in it. It is unknown how far Ryu himself progressed in the tournament, but in a kind of ironic twist, it is implied that he may have lost to Ken. Not long after the Second World Warrior Tournament, Ryu would participate in another tournament to help master his skills, and to gain another match against his best friend and kind of rival, Ken. During his journey, he meets up with Sakura, whom he encourages to train much, much harder. Not long.
Yeah, that's gonna be enough. That's pretty much a general narration, of course, of how his history and his character is like. You guys get a good understanding of his character already, though, most likely. At the same time, kiting it together with a bunch of different feats would be better, as like swinging, doing stuff, because in matter of placing like that's still kind of weird in this case, so saying, but still, you guys get what I mean. So, behind all that, you guys kind of get a little bit of case of his feats, and obviously history, like I just said, but to rescind my statement, the feat packing, in case of what he can do involving fighting style and everything, is the bigger importance. So here we go. It's time to talk about what Ryu can do involving the specialties, a skill, and all that. When it comes down to Ryu's defense and fighting style and capabilities, he's a big counter striker with great precision when in the case of his karate, boxing, MMA gloves. He has a great understanding of things in the case of the Shungoken and Taekwondo, karate, mixed martial arts and different stuff. He can grapple on the floor, got his own case of splendid wrestling, and can practice multiple places of skill and stuff together in the form of how he fights and all this different stuff. He's one of the best multiple different people, like before he bested his rival, best friend, and brother, pretty much a blood brother, Ken Masters, able to take on Sagat, able to best and Bison like I've seen before. He's been able to stagger and almost in some places in high potential best Akuma, and at the same time accompany the case for how he does things within his skill. He's able to do a lot of different things to best other characters at a higher place in that matter for capabilities and skill. Sorry. Ryu is not just skill in the case of matter for his fists and other stuff in practitioner in case of feats. He's also able to survive the whole island destroying thing of Akuma. He's able to have Pishin, that same place of matter of strength. And the destroyer island will take in 4.3 gigatons of TNT to do, meaning that within the case of his power overarchingly, that's in this pure highball place of attack potency. But Akuma is able to do that with just one hand and full palm slash slam burst meteor strike that bitch. So the fact that Ryu is able to take blows from Akuma sometimes going full bloodlusted with the Sasuke no Hado, because that means the killer intent. This man is able to push and push out all that case of power and be able to survive that cratering slam. He didn't survive this. He escapes by moving and doing some other stuff impacting to the lore. But I'm just saying, cinematic from able to take that case of power into full blunt means a lot. What I mean by Bush, all that power which kind of is a weird saying. I don't know why, but most of you guys are gonna get what I'm saying. But to go in more elaborate, I'm saying he's able to push and push that much by placing matter, point for the same matter what he has. Because as a bush is like as the blushing point of his power. Because Akuma overarchingly has better unarmed matter point of feats, but I'm saying a place for Ryu, his power overarchingly, he's one of the most powerful. He's able to take on Oro, he's able to overscale his Master Goken, he has more than his matter for feats and place of matter for what he can do. He's a great counter striker, has great precision and understanding and capabilities to put you on your ass. At the same time, he's very skillful and suffice with case of matter for his movement. He's been able to take on multiple different people when it comes to case of matter for his efficiency and suffice with that as well. Being said in that case, which kind of sounds a little bit weird. Like I don't want to have to back check my point of what it is in this place in the matter, but I'm just saying again, with his power capability and stability and applied together with his feats, he is a great professional fighter. He's able to burst out that much case of staggering, case of staggerment of power, and at the same time, case of matter for his endurance, he's able to take a lot of that at the same time and deal with Seth, twirl blading him and doing a bunch of different placement in case of matter for moves. And even though Seth is a fighter that can absorb and energize different moves together, he's able to fight him and fight him with great skill, no matter the case of matter for his place of power and force of what he can do. And so Ryu, with that being said, is able to take these capabilities with great understanding and push on, even if he has a bunch of different twirl moves from other people. Because again, he can absorb moves and he can adapt and manipulate your different moves. And what is the word? Because he can transfer them in the same form, but he's over here taking your moves and copying case of moves, and he hasn't been born informed of how he's put together with his different moves in case of others. So even with having those moves, Ryu still defeats him and perfects against him in overarching canon as well. Because again, just because Seth can do that doesn't deflect his capabilities to move. Because in the words of Ryu, in quote, power is more as the ones of one's moves. But at the same time, he's able to manipulate moves, energize, absorb, recompilate them, and copy them to re-employment place a matter of points of his form power to fight him. But Ryu overarchingly has a great case of matter of power to best them, and best is Sagat even without having to split through his chest with a place of coins within the case of the Sasuke no Hado. But if we're talking about his forms, he obviously has his Ultra Instinct Blue Light Bank form, where he has his self-righteous power that boosts his stamina, his endurance, his attack potency, speed, and other capabilities. He's able to dodge bullets, which was in the hypersonic and all that. There's a lot of great capabilities abilities that accompany him to a higher place in potency when it comes down to how he's doing things. I'm just going to breathe while I was saying that. His potency and balanced out is greatly put together for how he's able to make his moves be an overarching setup. It's just how he makes these moves out that puts him at that stagnum of feats and speed in this place of the matter, because he's able to make different workling for case of how he puts these powers together with informed Roshan. Because again, he's able to dodge bullets, he puts him at a higher place of matter point of speed. But with this power and company place of matter for his speed and different impulsion in the case of matter for speed capabilities and packed into it, it shows a little bit more of like plus instrument in place of hypersonic. So that's just within the case of place of matter, that speed. Now with the Sasuke no Hado, there's a lot more to it. Sasuke no Hado increases all of this by a clear extent his power capabilities, and by whatever state of matter for evil Ryu is able to overstagger someone like Akuma, overpowers a mod place of matter for his speed, more killer intent, wild and stuff. I'm not gonna be putting evil Ryu into place, but I'm saying with some evil Ryu power, he overarchingly overplays every person generally within the lore, because this boost in power overprives everybody. But in comparison to others, a little something of the power, he's not bringing out the biggest beholder in this power because he's conflicted with it. So staying as his character, not just giving Ryu bloodlust, it is a big boulder of power, but not to that big of an extent, because the place of how his being is like, and how he can't just roll up the power out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the power comes into different play and point, that with his character, it comes into bigger. The fortune placement of his power, because it kind of seems like a weird wording point, but again, I'm not trying to backtrack any point of what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying his power overarchingly is in place with a big boulder pace of power, but that's not necessarily what we're going to be using in this case. Like I already said, I'm not gonna be using Evil Ryu. This is just base place Ryu with PowerPoint. But when it comes down to Shang-Chi the Dragon, been a long second since I ain't gonna talk about him, even though I haven't talked about him in dialogue. He's a matter for what we're talking about in this form. But Shang-Chi the Dragon is obviously from Marvel Comics. His character, though, is the case of him being obviously inspired by the great dragon warrior Bruce Lee, one of the most profound martial artists that ever lived. Rest in peace to that man, the sanctum of martial arts synergy. This character, like Bruce Lee, knows kung fu, multiple in case of martial arts, knows different twirling aspects of karate, other fragments of martial arts, and then the kung fu, within the case of both monkey kung fu, knows different martial arts, man, from the case of his training. And again, like Bruce Lee uses kicks, twirl mixing, has great feats against others, able to stagger and fight someone like Iron Fist, is able to move at great speeds, is superhuman in balance, puts him out for his power. His father's pretty much Fang Shu, if I'm even saying his name right, or Fang Manchu, like this, aka in place in form of it being the Mandarin. But at the same time, he also, coming with Liu Kang, has this great fire and ballistic speed, not in the form of actually making fire, but it's so fast he's able to stagger and blitz people with great superhuman speed, moving at speeds, going to 120 meters per second and beyond, kind of like Connor Kenway, and at the same time, displacement on other people's speed by having so much good precision. I view other stuff on either in case that kind of sounds like a voice crack with that being said as well. And again, I know it's been a minute since I've been able to talk about him in case of this video, but there's a lot of things that have to place him, what his power in comparison to someone like Ryu. The main thing about his power in case of martial arts capability is just the pure fact of his precision and how he understands to interpol all his power into this and makes martial arts as well. Again, he's able to stagger and rival Iron Fist in the case for speed and power balance, so he's pretty proficient. He's able to move like a multiple man with power, how he does things and all that. I like how his character is put together and what he does, and efficiency and martial arts. He does not stop when it comes on the case for his martial arts and balance and potion within the form of how he does things and fighting capabilities, and all around how he fights and what he does is all into place into obviously kung fu, but interplays with some different mystical martial arts input into this. He knows the Guambu, he knows the mixed martial art technique that comes with this twirl technique of him kind of doing something like Ryu the Shinkobuken within his Ryu martial art being a little bit different with spinning kicks, butterfly kicks, other things, Guambu, other stuff. Also, Shang-Chi within his character is one of the greatest martial artists of the Marvel Universe for obvious fucking reasons. I mean, this man is Shang-Chi. He's able to outbest other people. He has a little bit more precise and proficient martial arts understanding than someone like Captain America. At the same time, his balance of martial arts is important with the fact, again, he's superhuman, having this speed and precision. He's able to dodge and maneuver some bullets here and there, even without them full grazing him. He's able to stagger a little bit against Spider-Man when he's moving and music movement, when he's doing a bunch of stuff. Not like as him listening to music and doing it, but when Shang-Chi is able to balance out his flow and energy for the case of Spider-Man moving and twirling around, is at least able to have some supplement of understanding for when he's going to be moving, even if Spider-Man has spider sense, which means he has great instinct, superhuman agility at that extent. His endurance, he's able to take Iron Fist hit, not actually with the case of the Immortal Iron Fist actually punching him, but at least a graze placement when he's fighting him in different cases. At the same time as well, when it comes to actually place of his other mystical capabilities in line with superhuman, with chi and ki, basically like with Dragon Ball, excuse me, with that burp. With his ki, he's able to master it so hard. He's in this ultra instinct flow and glow like Ryu, and he's able to dodge bullets and professionally stagger and hit people's pressure points at maximum lightning speed and flick you like a fucking anime character like Bruce Lee would. Overall, Shang-Chi is a very proficient fighter, even though not being actual mystical superhero or anything like that. He's a very proficient street fighter, a very proficient hero in his own right, and one of the greatest martial artists in comparison, say the matter, in place with the other characters, and rivals them in a lot of ways in comparison, and can be on even playing level point with other characters as well. Now we're talking overarchingly. In a hand-to-hand combat scenario, I think a little similar of Shang-Chi's capabilities stand more in part with him. We're talking overarchingly, bear in mind about everything. I think Ryu takes the case. If we're talking in an honorable, fair match, because they're both honorable people, they both have a great due form of understanding of how to make things out with their capabilities and fighting and etc. But it's also at the same time that with their fighting credibility and together with the feats and what they can all do overpartly, the case of what Shang-Chi can do, would put up a better capability than the form of what Ryu could do martial arts wise. So what I'm trying to say overall is if they were paired together in normal martial arts fighting sense, I think Shang-Chi, depending on the set of matter, can maybe do more. But Ryu has more feats, more capabilities against other characters in my opinion. So I think overarchingly in some department Ryu would take it. Me personally, who I like a little bit more, Shang-Chi is a little bit more distinctly interesting. I think Ryu is a little bit more cooler, but Ryu is overarchingly, in my opinion, more impaired with feats and more in placement of understanding and practitioner in martial arts, and paired with this to be able to beat him. Because who's a better overarching precise martial artist would be Shang-Chi, but again, impaired with more place of capability to actually put him down by just a general placement making of his capabilities and probability of being able to take someone out in that form of showcasing. Because again, it's Ryu, and I feel like his overbearing capabilities and power puts him down like that in that case of the matter. And I don't think Shang-Chi is going to be able to take all the combos and well, because when it comes down to Shang-Chi, he's taking a great deal of punishing, but he doesn't take the same place of punishing like Ryu would put out in his place of punishing. You know what I'm saying? So overall, in my opinion, I feel like Ryu is the winner. But tell me, what do you guys think? I appreciate you guys for listening to my entire kind of rant bubbles. All them say things I need to go and put into the replace information, this and this and this. And for I couldn't talk with a tongue twister, I'm glad I'm more solid, you know what I'm saying? But I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Tell me what y'all think in the comments. If you think I'm wrong, fine. Explain why. If you're down, I think Ryu wins. I got 11 points for it. If you don't agree with me, maybe debate me about something else. That's fine. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace and army. Love y'all.